So my final question to you is, how would you rate Modi's government so far in terms of the economy, especially the economy? What do you think they have done well, and what are some important challenges? I mean, they've done some very provocative things like the demonetization, the GST, and so on. What is your take on that?
I think their strategic intent is superb. Their will to bring about change is superb, absolutely. Um, and when you take a plethora of actions, a number of actions, some of them will not work as well as others. So I think that they should be, not accused of what we call making any serious mistake there. But I think the businessman has to feel more comfortable with the government, which is not the case today. So I think that ease of doing business, what I call generally, I think that has to improve dramatically. Inevitably, when you're trying to change a system which has been corrupt, which has been inefficient for for so many decades, it takes time, and there will be a lot of bad elements. But you will have to show trust. Government will have to show trust in businessmen and in the citizen, and ease off some of the administrative and tax pressures on the people. Once that happens, I think a lot of these economic reforms will be taken upon. That means people will take greater risk. So today, our challenge is that we are working on one and a half engine, which is like public spending, and private sector is spending very selectively. This private sector has to take the lead. So we must take definite steps that, how do we get the animal spirits going again in the private sector? That cannot be deferred for any longer. So it has been like that for the last 4 or 5 years. We have about 1.5 years to the next election. And I think we need to put serious thought to how to create a very enabling environment, what I have kept saying again and again, ease of doing business.
Wonderful. So you would consider overall in the balance, Modi government has done a good job.
Definitely, I think this sense of nationalism, some of the programs like Swachh Bharat, they are such seminal program because it's not only Swachh Bharat, it's also patriotic Bharat. But I call my movement and movement from apathy to ownership. He has already started that kind of movement. So I think on various grounds, this government has done brilliantly. A government can always do more. So, I just pointed to some of the areas.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this is the first government in many years where they've taken on some issues very honestly, very seriously, not quick result oriented. Maybe some decisions have a short term kind of a price that people are paying, and it's unpopular, like the demonetization. But if you can clean up all the cash economy and turn it into electronic, long term you're going to get lots of value. So I think they've made some risky calls, but the ability to take risk in a democracy depends on how much concentration of power one has. So in the early days after independence, Nehru, Indira Gandhi and all, they had so much concentration of power, they could have done so much more. At the time when we were this 1 or 2% growth rate kind of economy, they could have done very bold things, and we would be way ahead of China by now if we had done that. So Modi ji is starting with some of the handicaps because of the past, whatever we have. But I think we need to encourage the government. We need to make this government last long. This is the kind of thing that we cannot afford a disruption where somebody else were to come in and do something different, then we're back and forth. This continuity has to maintain. So I'm also very happy that they're consolidating their majority in the Rajya Sabha, which gives them the ability to take bold action. And we have to trust honest people to give them the power and say, okay, you now take bold action. We are behind you. I think and I'm very glad we agree on that.